I just made a video about Parkinson's vaccines that are currently in clinical trials. While I was researching for that video, I kept asking myself, what else is coming? Are there other treatments being developed that are just as exciting as the vaccines? And the answer is yes. The vaccine story is what I believe groundbreaking, but it's just one piece of a much bigger puzzle. There's a whole wave of treatments coming in the next 5 to 10 years that could completely change how we treat Parkinson's. I'm Kim, and after years of caring for my mom through Parkinson's disease, I've been following the research obsessively. Today I'm going to break down the most promising, in my opinion, treatment beyond vaccines, gene therapy, stem cells, repurposed drugs, and some stuff involving the gut and ultrasound. This is the future of Parkinson's treatment. I've covered some of these before briefly in other videos, but I wanted it all in one spot. Before we get started, please subscribe to my channel so you won't miss any of the exciting info I share. And also give the video a thumbs up if you find it interesting or if you learned something new. Thanks. Okay, so first, let me give you the 30,000-foot view of where Parkinson's research is headed. For decades, Parkinson's treatment was basically, here's some dopamine replacement pills, good luck. We were just managing symptoms, not touching the actual disease. But now, we're entering what scientists are calling the disease-modifying era. That means treatments that actually slow down or stop the progression, not just cover up the symptoms. That's pretty huge if you ask me. The strategies fall into a few different categories. So number one, stop the toxic protein. That's what the vaccines do. If you didn't watch my last video, I'll post a link to it in the description. Go watch it after this one. It's super exciting stuff. Okay, number two, replace the dying brain cells with stem cells, gene therapy. Number three, protect the cells from dying in the first place using neuroprotective drugs. Number four, fix the underlying dysfunction, targeting the mitochondria, inflammation, the gut. And number five, better symptom control with improved medications and devices. Here's what's really cool. The future probably isn't just one miracle cure, mainly because there's none that they've found yet, but it's going to be the combination therapy type thing where you're going to hit the disease from multiple angles at once. Think about how we treat HIV/AIDS patients right now. They don't just get one drug, they get a cocktail. Same concept. Now let's go through what's actually in the pipeline right now, in no particular order. So, gene therapies first. If you don't know what gene therapy is, to me it's one of the most advanced approaches, but it's real and it's happening. Basically, they take a virus, don't worry, it's harmless, load it up with genetic instructions and inject it into the brain. The virus delivers those instructions to your neurons, telling them to either make more of something helpful or make less of something harmful. The current gene therapy approaches being tested right now. Number one, GDNF gene therapy. GDNF stands for glial cell line-derived neurotrophic factor. Terrible name, hard to remember, hard to say, but basically it's like fertilizer for dopamine neurons. It helps them survive and grow. A company in the United Kingdom has been testing this in people with Parkinson's, and early results are interesting. They're not seeing massive improvements yet, but the safety looks good, and there are signals that it might be slowing the disease. So the good thing about gene therapy is one injection potentially lasts for years. Your brain just keeps making the protective protein. Now, number two, reducing alpha-synuclein production. Remember alpha-synuclein, the toxic protein I talked about in the vaccine video? Well, instead of training your immune system to clear it out, what if we just made less of it to begin with? That's what some gene therapies are trying to do. They use a technique called RNA interference to basically turn down the volume on the gene that makes alpha-synuclein. A company called Prevail Therapeutics, which is now owned by Eli Lilly, is testing this approach. Their idea is to reduce alpha-synuclein by 30 to 50% in the brain, which might be enough to slow the disease without causing problems from having too little alpha-synuclein. They're in early clinical trials right now, and we're probably at least 5 to 10 years from knowing if this will work. The next one is GBA gene therapy. About 10% of Parkinson's patients have a mutation in a gene called GBA. This gene is supposed to help cells clean up the garbage. But when it's mutated, the cleanup system doesn't work well, and toxic proteins build up. Scientists are testing gene therapy to deliver a working copy of GBA to these patients. It's a smaller patient population, but if it works, it could be a game changer for these people with this specific genetic form of Parkinson's. Now, the challenge with all gene therapies are getting the virus to spread throughout the brain because it's hard. Current methods require injecting directly into the brain, which is invasive. But the technology is improving fast, and they're coming up with different ideas. So gene therapy is about fixing the instructions your cells are following. But what if the cells are already too damaged or dead? That's where our next approach comes in, literally growing new brain cells to replace what's been lost. We're going to use stem cells for that. This is one that gets a lot of attention. The idea of replacing dead brain cells sounds like science fiction, but it's real, and it's further along than you might think. The concept is that Parkinson's kills dopamine-producing neurons. What if we could grow new dopamine neurons in a lab and transplant them into the brain? That's exactly what they're doing in the Japan trial. I covered this before. You should also watch that video. It's very interesting. I'll put a link in the description. You can watch it later. Here's a quick recap. Kyoto University in Japan has been testing lab-grown dopamine cells made from induced pluripotent stem cells, iPSCs. Basically, they take adult cells, reprogram them into stem cells, then coax them to become dopamine neurons. They've implanted these cells into Parkinson's patients, and the results have been promising. No serious side effects. The cells survived and integrated into the brain. Some patients showed motor improvements, and there's been no tumors, which was a concern with earlier stem cell attempts. There's a couple of other stem cells trials happening. One is from BlueRock Therapeutics, now owned by Bayer. They're running a trial in the United States and Canada testing stem cell transplants. They're using a standardized off-the-shelf cell product, which is different from the personalized approach in Japan. If this works, it means they could manufacture these cells at scale and not need to create custom cells for each patient. That's huge for not only accessibility, but also cost. The next one is NRTX-1001 from Neurona Therapeutics. This one's a bit different. Instead of dopamine cells, they're transplanting inhibitory neurons that help regulate brain circuits. Early data from epilepsy patients looked promising, and they're exploring it for Parkinson's patients too. Now, stem cell therapy won't help people with very advanced Parkinson's, where too much of the brain is damaged. And there are some questions we still don't know the answers to, like how long do transplanted cells survive? Do they eventually get killed by the same process that causes Parkinson's in the first place? And how do we prevent the toxic alpha-synuclein from spreading to the new cells? But still, the fact that we can successfully transplant neurons into a human brain and see functional improvements, that's pretty incredible. Now, gene therapy and stem cells are cutting-edge science, but they're also expensive, complex, and years away. But here's something exciting. Some treatments that could help Parkinson's already exist. We just didn't know that they could work for this disease. We're talking about repurposed drugs. Here's something that doesn't get enough attention. Sometimes drugs that were developed for other diseases turn out to help Parkinson's too. These are exciting because they're already proven safe in humans, which means they can move through trials faster and cost much less to develop. The first one is Ambroxol. It's a cough medicine. This one kind of blows my mind. I did a more detailed look into this one in another video, but Ambroxol is a cough medicine that you can buy over the counter in many countries, and it might help Parkinson's disease. It turns out that Ambroxol boosts the activity of GBA. Remember that cleanup gene I just mentioned? Early trials showed it could increase the GBA activity in the brain and possibly slow disease progression, which is big. And there's a phase 3 trial called ASPRO-PD starting in the UK in 2025. Well, it's almost the end of 2025, so maybe it's already going. Anyways, they're testing whether taking Ambroxol daily for 2 years can slow Parkinson's progression. Let's hope so. If this works, it would be huge because it's cheap, already available, and well tolerated. Not some experimental drug that costs $100,000 a year. The next thing is GLP-1 agonists. These are diabetes drugs and weight loss drugs. You've probably heard about Ozempic, Wegovy, etc. for weight loss. They're very popular right now in the news. These drugs, called GLP-1 agonists, are also being tested for Parkinson's disease. Why? Because they seem to have neuroprotective effects. They help brain cells resist stress and damage. Several trials are being tested to see whether diabetes drugs can slow Parkinson's disease. Early results have been mixed, but interesting enough that bigger trials are underway. The next one is a cancer drug called nilotinib. This one's more controversial. Nilotinib is a leukemia drug that some researchers think might help clear out toxic proteins from the brain. There have been some small trials with intriguing results, but also a lot of concerns about the side effects, which are not good. The jury's still out on this one. The beauty of repurposed drugs is that they can be tested quickly and cheaply. If Ambroxol works, for example, we could have a disease-modifying treatment within a couple years, not decades. All the treatments we've talked about so far target the brain directly. But what if Parkinson's doesn't actually start in the brain? What if it starts somewhere completely unexpected, like your gut? So let's talk about that. We're targeting the gut-brain connection. This is one of the most interesting to me areas of Parkinson's research, and it's exploding right now. The discovery is that Parkinson's might actually start in the gut, not in the brain. That's kind of wild. Scientists found that alpha-synuclein, the toxic protein, shows up in the gut nerves years before it appears in the brain. There's a theory that it travels from the gut to the brain via the vagus nerve, like a highway for toxic proteins. Now, people with Parkinson's often have constipation and gut problems for years before motor symptoms. And people who had their vagus nerve cut for ulcer treatment or whatever, they have lower Parkinson's rates. And gut bacteria composition is different in Parkinson's patients versus a healthy individual. They're testing probiotics and microbiome interventions. The questions here are, can we change the gut bacteria to reduce inflammation and prevent alpha-synuclein from forming or spreading? There are multiple trials testing this specific probiotic strains. Vagus nerve stimulation. The vagal nerves carry signals between your brain, heart, and digestive system. And they are the key part of the parasympathetic nervous system. It's the longest cranial nerve. It regulates many involuntary bodily functions, such as heart rate, respiratory rate, and digestion, among others. If the vagus nerve is the highway for toxic protein, what if we interfere with that pathway? Some researchers are testing whether electrical stimulation of the vagus nerve could help. And next we have anti-inflammatory gut treatments. Inflammation in the gut might trigger the whole Parkinson's cascade. Treatments that reduce gut inflammation are being explored. This field is early, but It might explain why Parkinson starts. It might give us a target we can reach without brain surgery. And it might allow prevention, not just treatment. Okay, so we've covered drugs, genes, cells, even gut bacteria. Now let's talk about some of the most futuristic sounding treatments that are already being used today. We're talking about ultrasound, brain implants that think for themselves, and AI that can predict Parkinson's before symptoms even start. Technology is revolutionizing how we treat Parkinson in a way we couldn't have it imagined just decades ago. We've got focused ultrasound that can treat the brain without surgery, adaptive deep brain stimulation that adjusts itself in real time like a smart pacemaker, and artificial intelligence that's helping us detect the disease years earlier than ever before. Let me break down what's happening right now in the high-tech world of Parkinson's treatment. First thing is focused ultrasound. This one sounds pretty interesting to me. Doctors use focused ultrasound waves to precisely destroy tiny areas of the brain that are malfunctioning in Parkinson's disease. It's already FDA approved for treating tremors, and they're testing it for other symptoms. There's no incisions, no implants, just ultrasound guided by MRI. The next thing is adaptive deep brain stimulation. Traditional deep brain stimulation delivers constant electrical pulses to the brain. The new version, adaptive DBS, monitors your brain activity in real time and adjusts the stimulation automatically based on what it detects. Early trials showed it worked better than traditional DBS, uses less battery power too. It's like going from a pacemaker to a smart pacemaker. Now there are also closed-loop systems. Imagine a Parkinson's treatment that senses when your symptoms are getting worse and automatically delivers more medication or adjusts the stimulation. That's really the future. Companies are developing wearable sensors that track tremors, stiffness, and movement 24/7, connected to drug pumps or DBS systems that can adjust in real time. Now, let's talk about AI and biomarkers. Artificial intelligence is helping researchers predict who will get Parkinson's before symptoms even appear, and identify different subtypes of Parkinson's that might need different treatments. And it's helping them design better drugs faster, and helping them analyze brain scans to track disease progression. We're also developing better biomarkers, blood tests, skin biopsies, and imaging techniques that can detect Parkinson's years earlier than we currently can. The earlier we catch it, the easier it is to treat. All of these individual treatments are exciting on their own, but this is what they think it's going to look like. Not one silver bullet, but personalized combination therapy based on your specific type of Parkinson's. Just like we treat cancer now with targeted combination based on genetics, Parkinson's is heading in the same direction. The idea is to hit the disease from multiple angles, stop the toxic protein, protect surviving neurons, replace dead ones, and manage symptoms. And with better biomarkers and AI, doctors will be able to figure out which combination works best for you specifically, not just what works for the average Parkinson's patient. So we have a possible scenario in the year 2035. This is hypothetical. Let's say you get diagnosed with early Parkinson's at the age of 55. Your treatment plan might be 1. A vaccine to train your immune system to clear the toxic protein. 2. Ambroxol or a GLP-1 drug to protect the remaining neurons. 3. Adaptive DBS if you have tremor-dominant Parkinson's. 4. Probiotic therapy to address gut inflammation. 5. AI monitoring via wearable sensors that track your symptoms 24/7. And 6. Occasional gene therapy booster to maintain neuroprotection. And because they caught it early using biomarkers, the disease progresses so slowly that you live a mostly normal life for decades. This is not science fiction. Every piece of this exists in trials right now. The question isn't whether we'll have better treatments, it's when all the pieces come together. Speaking of when, here's a theoretical timeline, just to give you an idea of what we can realistically expect. So when will all this stuff be available? Okay, I know I've thrown a lot at you. Vaccines, gene therapy, stem cells, repurposed drugs, gut treatment, high-tech devices, etc. You're probably wondering, when will any of this actually be available? Let me give you a realistic, conservative timeline. So there are things that are already available right now in November of 2025. We have improved DBS systems. We have better dopamine medications. And we have focused ultrasound for tremors. So in the next 2 to 3 years, 2026 through 2028, we should have Ambroxol results if phase 3 works, more GLP-1 data, and adaptive DBS should become standard. In 5 to 7 years, years 2028 through 2032, we should have possible vaccine approvals if the phase 3 succeeds. Our first gene therapy approvals should start coming in, and stem cell therapy for select patients. Now, 10 plus years from now, 2035 and beyond, combination therapy protocols should be available and widely used, preventative treatments for high-risk people, and also personalized medicine based on your actual genetics, which is pretty cool. However, the frustrating part of this is that everything takes longer than we hope. But the trajectory is clear, and we're moving from there's nothing we can really do except manage symptoms to multiple options to slow or stop the disease. But what can you do now? If you or someone you love has Parkinson's, stay informed. Follow official medical and Parkinson's Foundation websites. Subscribe to channels like mine, where we cover this sort of thing. Consider clinical trials. Trials need volunteers all the time. You'll get access to treatments years earlier than if you waited for them to be approved. You help science figure out what works. And if you're interested in clinical trial, talk to your neurologist about it. They can help you find ones that you qualify for and help guide you through that process. I wanted to tell you that lifestyle still matters. While we wait for these breakthrough treatments to come to fruition, number one thing is your lifestyle. Exercise is so important. It's proven to slow progression. I'm not saying you need to go out and run 5 miles or weight lift for 3 hours a day. Just go out and go for a walk. Just get some activity. There's so many things you can do just to get your body moving. Whatever you can tolerate, give it a shot. Another thing is that the Mediterranean diet has been shown to benefit Parkinson's patients. I did a whole video on this. I'll also put that down in the description, but it's been proven. Social engagement helps quality of life so much. I saw this in my mom firsthand. When she isolated herself, she was more depressed and not motivated to do anything. When she was more social and was meeting her friends for lunch and going down to play bingo and her little art class and stuff, she was so much happier overall. Did she feel better? Not really, but her life was better. And managing stress matters. Stress is a trigger for a lot of diseases, but Parkinson's especially. So try to reduce your stress levels. Be patient, but stay hopeful. We're not there yet, but we're closer than we've ever been. The future of Parkinson's treatment isn't just about vaccines. It's about gene therapy, stem cells, repurposed drugs, gut-brain interventions, high-tech devices, AI-driven personalized medicine. Are we going to cure Parkinson's next year? No. But in 10 years, I genuinely believe that Parkinson's will be a manageable chronic disease instead of a devastating progressive one. When my mom was diagnosed, we had almost no hope for disease-modifying treatments. Now, there are dozens of approaches in clinical trials and more coming every year. The pipeline is full. The science is solid. Momentum is real. I'm going to keep following these developments and updating you as trial reports come in, the results come in. If you want to stay in the loop, hit subscribe so you don't miss any of my future videos. If you found this video helpful, please share it with someone else who's dealing with Parkinson's disease that would also benefit from this information. And give the video a thumbs up. That would be fantastic. Thanks so much for watching. Future's coming. Let's keep pushing for it. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. And we'll see you in the next video.